We have Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce on the phone with us this evening, the longtime sheriff here in Cumberland County. And Sheriff Joyce, what would you want people to know about that alert that went out regarding the shelter in place? What do people need to do right now to stay safe?
I think it's important to stay in your house, remain vigilant about anybody being around their residence. If you see somebody that doesn't look like they should be there, please call either the Windham Police or the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. We'll make sure that we get a deputy or an officer to you. If it doesn't look like your neighbor, please give us a call as well. It's that little micro piece of information that could help us out in locating the individual. We don't really have a description that we can hang our hat on at this point, so I would just be looking for a white male, and if that person doesn't look like they belong in your neighborhood, behind your house, call us. Also be aware of any taxis in the area. Sometimes these individuals will call taxis. They may call an Uber, or they may call a friend. So anybody picking anybody up in the neighborhood that just doesn't look quite right, I encourage people to call, because it's going to be that is going to help us out in finding this individual.
And Sheriff Joyce, what can you tell us? We saw a helicopter over the scene there, over 302. Can you give us any indication of where that aircraft is from? Is that the Warden Service, or what is law enforcement doing right now to try to help with that search from the sky?
So I'm not aware of that or the fact where it came from. I know that we've got officers traveling some back roads. We've put up a perimeter, and I think it's safe to say the perimeter goes from Route 85 eastbound into North Windham. We've got agents and deputies and police officers running the back roads. We've tried a couple of article searches with canines and tracking, and we're trying anything to try to get an idea from where the vehicle was located by a deputy this afternoon, what direction the individual ran in. So not a lot of information out there right now, because we're all trying to figure out what the description is specifically, and trying to locate people or an individual that looks out of place.
Sheriff, we've talked about how this is a very busy afternoon. It's a Friday, Route 302, many people coming to our states, for the summer, many people trying to head to the lake. Can you outline how just the volume of people already out on the roads when this happened could impact the search for a suspect? How is that playing into the difficulty, the challenges for you all this afternoon?
So it could have happened at a worse time. 302 on a Friday in the summertime, from about noon time on, is just continual traffic. I know that when I was out there earlier this morning, the traffic was unbelievable, even from my standards. So I am not in the area. I'm dealing with another issue at the other part of the county, but I can tell you that a typical Friday is bad enough when everything is flowing, and to try to go around the shutdown area is difficult. You're sending people on back roads. It is a little bit of a point where there's not a lot of opportunities, because you have Sebago Lake on one side and Little Sebago and Pettingill Pond on the other. So people redirecting are going to have to go way out of their way to get through until the roads opened up. But the investigation needs to continue at the initial scene, and then my understanding is Whitesbridge West is still open. So it's putting a lot of struggle and a lot of pressure on some of the back roads and some of the areas where people are not used to a lot of traffic. But somehow we'll get this through, and the road will be opened up hopefully in the near future.
And Sheriff Joyce, help us understand the effort happening right now. How many law enforcement agencies are involved? How many towns might be included in this search? Just maybe give us a sense of the scale.
What I understand from my commander up at the Raymond is we have anywhere from 40 to 60 police officers from obviously the Sheriff's Office, State Police, and surrounding police departments. So we've got the area pretty well covered. Well, we have a lot of woods up there, believe it or not, and there's enough area that an individual can run in and not be found really quickly. So that probably explains why we have a helicopter in the air and probably be putting drones in the air at some point to try to, verify whether or not this person actually ran into the woods. It's also likely that the individual could have been picked up somewhere and is out of the area. So we don't really know right now, but we're trying to protect the public by making sure that we've done everything we possibly can to make sure that we know where this individual is.
Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce on the phone with us here talking about that shooting on 302. Sheriff Joyce, you mentioned that you're involved with another incident also here in Cumberland County. We're looking at information from the Maine Department of Corrections about 3 youths who escaped from Long Creek Youth Development Center. Are you involved in that response as well?
No, I've heard the rumor and I've gotten a few texts about that. I don't know if that's in fact has occurred or not, but I can tell you that I'm not involved in that.
Certainly a busy afternoon here in Maine. We appreciate you taking time to talk to us about the shelter in place as we continue to follow that information from Long Creek. I wanted to ask you, we had mentioned staying inside your home. What if you're sitting in your car right now? As we talk about the traffic, if you're able to move, should you be getting out of that area? What is your advice for people that maybe got that alert on their phone that are in their car?
I don't know that as long as people are sitting in their vehicles and traveling, even traveling slowly, that's particularly an issue. What we just want is people not wandering around, especially in the rural areas, the back of their residence. We don't know the propensity of the individual beyond what occurred earlier in Windham, and we don't want to have any bad things happen beyond that. So, the best idea is stay inside, lock your doors, be hyper vigilant of what's going around you. Do not hesitate to call us, because again, that one little phone call could help us in locating this individual and lifting the shelter-in-place order.
Sheriff Joyce, one more question before we let you go for now. Can you help us understand more? What do you know about the initial interaction here that sparked and kicked this all off? What can you tell us about that?
I don't know much about it. I know there was a shooting. I understand that the Windham Police Department and the Maine State Police are investigating it. And that's about all I know and what I can give out at this point.
All right, Cumberland County Sheriff Kevin Joyce, always a valuable resource for us from a law enforcement perspective. We appreciate your time and best wishes on a busy evening ahead.
Yes.
Thank you for the assistance.
Of course. Thank you again for really outlining for people at home what they should know. So, Sheriff, thank you. We appreciate that.